Oeconom is Oeconomvei.3, and then a bunch of Greek words. In a much later age, Photius Epist 73 begins a bitter invective against the reputed heretic with the words Eusebio v. Ot 2 Tou Pamphilo Pamphilou Eite Delo Doulov Eite Sunhik V Sunhqh and then V. Upon this, the editor Belletta makes the usual remark that Eusebius was the disciple and friend of the martyr Pamphilus, from whom he took his surname. But it is evident that Photius himself either was or pretended to be ignorant of the actual meaning of the title. In his insolent insinuation, Ayit Diolo V, which is Eite Doulov, is of course rightly rejected, as we have seen by Fabricius Bishop Lightfoot in the article already referred to, writes with just indignation. It was either a blundering literalism or an ignoble sarcasm which led Photius Ep 73 Belletta to suggest the IX explanation that he was the slave of Pamphilus. Any man might have been proud to wear the slave's badge of such a devotion. We come at last to the positive testimony of one who at least knew the proper sense of the title, and it's a Greek word. I don't know Greek, so when I say a Greek word, that's the reason, because I can't read Greek. Okay, the oldest MS of the Preparatio Evangelica, Paris, in 451, has a scholion on the passage I3 Vig 7c3, which refers to the works of earlier Christian writers. Such say the scholiasts as were holy Justin Athenagoras, which is spelled Justin and then Athenagoras, Athenagoras, Tatian, Clement, the author of the Miscellanies, Micellanies, Origen, and moreover Pamphilus himself, the father of our present author Eusebius. Dr. Harnack, in his description of this eminence in Texte U, utters such, spelled Texteu, period, Untersuch, or CH, I-134 remarks on his scholion. It is worthy of notice that Pamphilus is described as the father of Eusebius. So obscure already was the scholiast historical knowledge. In a footnote to this passage, Dr. Harnack asks why Pamphilus is mentioned here at all. Did the author perhaps think of Lucian, or allow himself to be misled by the title of the Apology for Origen. Again, on p. 177, Dr. Hannock says, this scolion is of later origin. Add to this that the learned Arethusa cannot have supposed Pamphilus to be the father of Eusebius. As to Dr. Hannock's first objection, there is nothing to surprise us in the scholiast's mention of Pamphilus as one of the recent authors of whom Eusebius might have been thinking. His literary work was of a different character, less popular, and less generally known than the writings of the apologist previously mentioned, and for these reasons, as it seems, the scholiast, in adding his name to theirs, introduces it by the words, and its Greek words. Dr. Harnack's passing remark that the scolion is of later origins is not accepted by his very learned co-editor Oscar V. Gebhardt, who made a most careful examination of the codex and assigned this particular scolion to the ex-hand of Arethusa himself. Texte u Unters, Texteu period Unters I3 183 N 70. Thus, instead of an ignorant scholiast of a later age, we have the learned Archbishop Arethusa asserting that the title is to be understood in its proper sense, Eusebius, son of Pamphilus, and this we shall find to be consistent with all that we know of the relationship between Pamphilus and Eusebius. Pamphilus, we know, was many years older than Eusebius, was the director as well as the partner of his studies, and is always mentioned by him in terms not only of admiration and affection, but of the most profound respect. Thus he calls him the great glory of the diocese of Caesarea, most admirable of men of our time. Of all my companions, by me most fondly regretted, a man most glorious of the martyrs of our time for every virtue. The name to me thrice dear, a man who, though his whole life stone preeminent in every virtue, and when we add to such language the still more remarkable expressions quoted by Bishop Lightfoot. Okay. I need to watch how I do this. I lost my Lightfoot. From Curtin's edition of the Syriac Martyrs of Palestine, that heavenly martyr of God, my Lord Pamphilus, for it is not meet that I should mention the name of the holy and blessed Pamphilus without styling him my Lord, with such testimony of filial reverence. We can hardly doubt that when Eusebius adopted the patronymic O Pamphilo, he meant it in its full and proper significance, that henceforth he would call no man father save this best and dearest friend of his early manhood. How else, as Bishop Lightfoot says, could he express the strength of his devotion to his friend, who was more than a friend, than by adopting his name he would henceforward be known as Eusebius of Pamphilus. Let us only complete the title, Eusebius, son of Pamphilus, and so do justice to the old scholiast, that is, to the learned archbishop himself. A further explanation of the patronymic may probably be found in the prevalent custom of adoption. We know that Pamphilus had gathered about him a collection of books which seem to have been unrivaled in Christian circles, Lightfoot Ibid, and of which Eusebius became the professor and the possessor and made a catalog. Use History, ECCL VI 32. Use History. Actually, it's EUS HIS ECCL VI 32. I'll make a habit of keep doing that. That way I can distinguish, so you guys, that's a reference that you can check. So let me go on. I just wanted to do that because that was a mistake I was about ready to make. It is therefore most probable that Pamphilus had made Eusebius his heir, and the only way in which a childless individual could acquire an heir was by adopting him. That's from Professor W.M. Ramsey, Expositor, September of 1898, page 204. C.F. Herman, Political Antiquities of Greece, 120. The appointment of an heir event by will could take place only by adoption. This statement that the heir was necessarily an adopted son is confirmed, among other passages, by Plato, Laws 9:24a, and by Isaiah 66:31. They would not have represented that a son had been adopted by Aristarchus, 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 into this inheritance. If Eusebius was thus made the heir of Pamphilus, his legal and usual designation would henceforth be, and then it's a Greek word, and in any case, whether he was actually adopted or took the patronymic as a symbol of respect and affection, the only true rendering is, I believe, Eusebius, son of Pamphilus. The work itself contains no direct statement of the date at which it was written, and it is difficult to determine this very closely from the allusions of contemporary events, especially to the persecutions of the Christians and the subsequent prosperity of their religion. The persecution commenced by Diocletian, February 24th, 303 A.D., and continued by Galerius, ceased by his edict in 311 A.D. Speaking of this persecution, Eusebius says in ECCL.HISTVII 16 that having begun to decrease after the 8th year, through the grace of God, it ceased altogether in the 12th year, after the defeat of Maxentius in 312 A.D. Constantine and Lacinus gave freedom to Christians, which was confirmed by the edict.